This is kind of a slow news day. Well, it's not necessarily a slow news day. There's just not much that I really want to cover right now, and I'll be doing some more later. But I wanted to talk a bit about uh, democratic strategy moving forward. Now, in my opinion, one of the biggest things that needs to be dropped like it's hot right now is the Russia hysteria or the Red Scare, red baiting, whatever. This whole thing that's been going on recently since the election, since Clinton herself tried to blame her loss on Russia, which is like, seriously, there's a lot of other things wrong there, okay. Uh, but it is something that's become a big part of like the various special elections that have happened recently, and I think a big part of the rhetoric coming from the Democratic Party about Russian interference and yeah, basically red baiting, uh, trying to get people to vote for them because of fear, of trying like okay, they're trying to basically scare people into voting Democrat because oh well, the Republicans are puppets of the Kremlin. And I think that needs to stop because it's it's going to backfire in my opinion. I think it's going to end up just like Benghazi, really. Like they're going to keep going down this road of oh the Republicans are in bed with Russia and the Russians are rigging our elections and it's gonna turn out that there's nothing there because nothing's been proven yet. I mean, what do they have that's proof? Even if they could, like they haven't even proved the email leak source of the email leaks. But and even if they could, I don't think many people care. Honestly, like me personally, I don't care. I don't care if the Russians, I don't care if the Chinese hacked the DNC servers and leaked Podesta's emails. I don't care because they didn't tamper with them. We were shown the truth in those leaks. We were not lied to. We were, the DNC were doing things in a dirty and underhanded way, and we found out about it. In my opinion, whoever leaked those emails did this country a service because we needed to see them and see the kind of dealings that are going on in our government and in our party. So that out of the way, it's going to backfire. Is the same with every other thing, every other example of identity politics, of you know, social justice, racial justice, gender equality, all these things that they're trying to push. And the problem is that yes, those are issues. A lot of them are issues that need to be addressed. But two things. One, a lot of times they're very complex. They're not. There's nothing easy about like okay, well, how do you get rid of you know, say racial discrimination in the workplace? Well, we already have. It's already against the law. Does it still go on? I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure it does in some cases, but how do we fix it? Give me some examples. Give me some legislation we could pass, boom, to take care of it. There aren't any, and to a certain degree, you'll never get rid of it by legislation. It has to be sort of a change in the way, a societal change in the way we feel about things, for that to be eliminated. And same with a number of these other social issues that Democrats like to push. And I think that's why they push them, is because they're complex, they're uh, not very well defined, and they are issues that, quite frankly, don't have a simple solution. And even if you could implement various solutions, there would still be some examples of it that they could harp on that, in some cases, will never be able to be resolved through legislation. And by doing that, they distract from the important things, like issues that are really weighing on people, that are really affecting their lives in a very real way, that need to be addressed. And that's why, in my opinion, that's why Trump won the election, was because he was bullshitting, but again, he was getting out there and promising, I'm going to change this. I am going to make sure you keep your jobs. I'm going to bring jobs back to this country. I'm going to get us out of NAFTA. I'm going to stop all these horrible trade deals, get us out of these wars. All things that Hillary Clinton wouldn't touch. What does she have? Oh, vote for me because I'm a woman. And it's time we put a woman in office. Like, okay, yeah, that's it. I feel it is time, but we had I mean, why not? Go ahead. Go for it. The problem is, though, we have shit that we need to deal with. And going forward, that's what I feel where the change needs to be made. And I know it's painful for the Democratic Party, because it's going to cost you some donor money. It's not going to be easy, but if you do it, we'll be with you. We will hold your hand through this ordeal, getting rid of the money, of the corporate money, of the money with strings attached, and actually committing to policy changes. And in my opinion, that's it. The change, the winning strategy that the DNC is looking for is as simple as that, and in some ways as complicated as that. They have to actually start proposing real change, real legislation, because hopes and dreams aren't going to really cut it anymore, especially after 2 Obama elections. They need actual concrete change in legislation saying that if I'm elected, I'm going to push a $15 minimum wage that's tied to inflation. That's a big problem that this country faces. And again, with a lot of the stuff they push, a lot of the various equality, insert subject here, equality issues, they're complex, if not impossible, to accomplish purely through legislation. However, you have all these huge slew of issues that, one, Republicans will never take up, ever, because it's like against what a Republican is. So they're not going to touch them. They're there for the picking, and these are issues that affect everyone, including all the various minorities, that will affect everyone positively, that are all very popular with the country. And they have to get behind them. If you had a Democratic candidate in 2020, if you have a Democratic candidate going up against 4 years of the baboon, we're 100 days in. Imagine if he actually doesn't get impeached before then, he actually makes it to 2020, doing the same shit he's been doing so far. If you put a candidate that is saying, hey, I am going to do, if you run candidates, and same goes for the House and for the Senate, if you run candidates that are saying, I'm going to work to pass $15 minimum wage tied to inflation. I'm going to work to pass this certain House bill, something, whatever, for Medicare, to pass Medicare for all. I'm going to make sure you have guaranteed paid leave or paid vacation days off from work. I'm going to make sure that, when you retire, Social Security is going to still be there and will be something you can live off of. They'll win. They will absolutely slaughter them. It will be a political bloodbath. And all they have to do is promise something. Is actually take a stand on a policy and say, I'm going to do this. It would be nice if they got rid of the corporate money and the super PAC money. And also that's another hot but big issue that a lot of people would like to see have progress made on, is getting money out of politics. Because the idea that anywhere other than Washington, the idea that a corporation can contribute millions of dollars to help a candidate get elected and there not be some quid pro quo is laughable. Like, no one believes that. Like, are you shitting me? You seriously? Like, oh, they're going to give you millions of dollars, but, oh, yeah, I'm still voting. I will still absolutely legislate against their interests in favor of yours. Trust me. No one believes that shit. So those issues, and they're, again, fairly straightforward. There's no heavy lifting legislation-wise. It's basically the concepts are fairly simple and straightforward, and I think that's one of the reasons they're so popular, is because people understand them, and just implement them. And if they do that, they will absolutely crush the Republicans. And honestly, they need to. DNC, the clock is ticking, okay? The DNC, the Democratic Party, has been wiped out on the state level, on the national level, and the House, the Senate, the presidency, the state legislatures. I think it's something like 67% or something like that are controlled by Republicans across the country. We are getting, keep in mind, if you're a Democrat, if you're for the DNC, you think they're doing well with their current strategy that just finished failing them. If you think they're doing well, keep this in mind. The Democratic Party is in such a minority across the country and in the House. We are approaching a point where the GOP can amend the Constitution, where they will have enough of a majority to push through amendments to the Constitution of the United States. This is a party that routinely wipes their ass with the Constitution of the United States, and they will have the ability to make changes to it. Now, the reason that's important is because it takes a huge consensus to be able to make those changes for good reason. And it's extremely difficult to get anything an amendment repealed. In fact, the only constitutional amendment that was ever repealed was the Volstead Act, was a prohibition. And that was prohibition. I mean, come on, no matter what it is, you try to ban someone getting buzzed, and it's only a matter of time. But that is scary, all right? Because you have people in our government like Mike Pence, who is a fundamentalist Christian, who feels that gays are an abomination unto the Lord, and that there should be church in schools that do not believe in the separation of church and state. And that is the one thing, honestly, that's separating us from being standing between us and being the Christian version of Saudi Arabia. Because you have those people that's their feeling. Like, you take all this shit, all the Wahhabism, the Sharia law, all this stuff that's going on in the Middle East and Saudi Kingdom. These people are basically a Christian version of that. And they will not hesitate for a second. They feel as their duty to reform the nation in sort of the image of God's promised land. It's scary. So these are, and that's the big thing. It's honestly, at this point, above all else, the Democratic Party cannot continue down the road they are. Because if they do, they will continue to lose. And if they continue to lose, the GOP, the people who are right now trying their hardest to pass horrifically unpopular legislation that will get people killed, that will boot people, that will push people out into the cold, that will cost them their houses, that will cost them their health, that are have no compassion for even their own fucking voters. These people will be able to change our Constitution, and that cannot happen. So, in closing, DNC, get your shit together. And don't fuck this up. And that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.